All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. All right. Good morning, Live Oak Middle students. Today we have a very special guest with us today, author Paula Chase. She is here today from Maryland, correct?
Yes.
Yay! And Ms. Chase is the author of, is it 8 books?
Yes.
8 books, and one of the books, So Done, is actually one of our Battle of the Books titles this year. It's a Louisiana Young Reader's Choice nominee. We have 20 copies in our library, and they're all checked out.
Yay!
I got 20. I've got 20 more ordered, so we're going to have them out. We've also got the companion book, Doughboys. And you have a book birthday, what, in 2 weeks? Almost
in
2
weeks. Yes.
So as soon as the book birthday comes out, we're going to have that book in our library as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Chase. Students, y'all give her a hand.
And just one quick question, because I know we're on a time limit. We started a little late. So what time do you want me to hard stop?
Let's see. So it's 9:10. How about 9:30, and then we can ask some questions?
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. The technology tried to stop us, but it didn't succeed. So I'm happy to be with you all today. Really excited that So Done is on your battle list and your choice award list. So I'm hoping that after today, you'd be interested in reading it. It sounds like other people already are, and that's really, really cool. So this is an odd question, but how many of you have ever wondered about something? How many have ever wondered? Like driving past a house and wondering what the people who live there are like. Or if any of you have pets, right? And you know how dogs look at you like this and they turn their head to the side? Don't you ever wonder what they're thinking? Well, wondering is exactly how I write. That's how my stories come about. I wonder the entire time. So with So Done, I wondered a lot of things. I wondered, what does it feel like to be left behind? Because in the story, the main character's sister has gone off and moved with her aunt, and she's lived there now for like a year. And the little sister is lonely. So I wondered, what would it be like, to have an older sibling that you were close to leave, and how you dealt with that. I wonder how it felt to be a middle child. I'm an only child, so I definitely have to wonder about that. I don't know what it's like to have siblings, much less be in the middle. And Mila has an older brother, an older sister, and she has a younger brother. I wonder what happens when you put yourself out there for rejection. Have any of you ever auditioned or tried out for something? Thumbs up, hands up? Yeah? Well, I wonder what it was like. Not as an adult, I know what it's like, but I wonder what it was like to be 13 again and to put myself out there for rejection. And that's what the characters are doing as they try out for this talented and gifted program. I wonder what it's like to be friends with somebody for a really long time, and then it seems like one of those people doesn't want to be friends anymore. I wonder what that felt like and how my characters would deal with it. I wonder how you carry on when a secret weighs on your heart and your mind. You're afraid to tell, but it's also really hard to keep it there. I wonder what happens when that secret finally comes out. So Done is my wondering about these things and other things. They come together as I think about wondering, but also it's a lot about putting my characters up a tree and then putting a bear at the bottom of the tree and wondering, how are they going to get out of that situation? So when I create, it's a lot of dream weaving and a lot of thinking to myself and wondering how somebody feels when they're put into certain situations. But the thing is that I don't just wonder for my characters. I wonder for my characters in order to make the story work, in order to progress the story and keep it going. But I also wonder about you, my readers. And that's probably even more important than wondering about the characters. Because with a character, you can take a situation, for example, them trying out for the talented and gifted program, and then I can just make all kinds of things happen. I can make them get in the program, I can make them not get in the program. So that's sort of the easy part. But wondering about what my readers want is slightly different. So I can't please everybody, right? So rather than try to figure out what each individual reader wants, what I do is I wonder about what's missing. All of my books have been written because there was something missing in publishing. There was something missing on the shelves. I'm a really huge fan of reflection and representation. And that means a lot of things. Like, I don't reflect just one thing. One thing that I reflect are Black kids, because I was a Black kid once and I know what that's like. And I noticed that publishing didn't have a lot of stories about the type of Black kids that I was. I grew up in the suburbs. I was a cheerleader. I had a really diverse circle of friends at my school. And publishing didn't have a lot of books out there that I saw myself in. And then when I started to write, I realized that my daughter, who had pretty much grown up like me, also didn't have a lot of books out there for her. So I wanted to write for the reader that I would have been. I wanted to write the stories that I would have liked, and that was to see myself. We all want to see ourselves in a story in some way, in some shape or form. So I write to reflect and represent. But I also am representing a certain age group. I don't know about you all, but I started to also see that when you talk about books available, you have two categories. You have middle grade and you have young adult. And so either you're reading a story where the character is probably 11 years old, or you're reading a story where the character is probably 15 or 16 years old. And I realized that there weren't a lot of stories where the characters were 13. And so I wanted to make sure that readers who I say that you're lost in the middle, and that my books are lost in the middle, because you're lost in the middle between traditional middle grade and traditional young adult. So what I write is upper middle grade or young adult. You can pick whichever one you like better, but so I write to reflect those experiences. And some people say that my stories are about kind of tough topics, because the secret that that Mila is harboring in here is a very controversial thing, and it's about being touched inappropriately. And I hate to give a spoiler, but I also want people to be prepared for for that, because it's kind of a big thing to grasp. But that's not all the story is about. It's more about the secret and her keeping that secret than it is anything else. So the journey and her getting through that journey is just as important. For those of you who are like, oh, spoiler, no, it's just as important to watch her journey and her friendship journey, and the fact that she's still just trying out for this program and trying out for this dance program. She's just being a normal kid, and we all do that. We're all going through something, and we're still having to be a normal person. So I write to reflect those kind of situations. And what's great about reflecting experiences is it shows how much we all really are similar. And when we share similarity, that story is a mirror for us. So have you guys, heard the term windows and mirrors before when it comes to books? Yes, Ms. Jones is saying yes, you have. And Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop coined that term. And basically what she was saying is that it was important that books serve as either a mirror or a window. So I wanted, So Done is not so much a mirror of my own life or my own experience, but it probably is for some of you, even though you may not think so. So if you have siblings, then it's a mirror book. If you have an older sibling, if you have a younger sibling, it doesn't even matter. That's in the book. If you've ever had a secret, that might be, it doesn't have to be as serious as hers, but if you've ever had a secret and we're worried about it getting out, then it's a mirror book for you. If you've ever had a disagreement or like a really bad like fight with your friend to the point where, you know, you're kind of wondering if you're going to be friends anymore, it's a mirror book for you. If you like the arts, dance, music, theater, or if you like sports because the guy characters play basketball, then it's a mirror book for you. If none of those things are familiar to you at all, then it's a window book. And window stories are really important because it allows us to experience something that either we've never experienced firsthand or, you know, that maybe we haven't seen very often. And it allows us to dive a little bit deeper into that. So it also, I think, helps us to care more about other people and what they're going through. So you may have a preference. You may like books where you just want to read about people that are exactly like you. But I say, if you're a mirror person, how many of you like prefer the mirror book? Like, I really just like want a book where I'm kind of reading about my situation or my scenario or my lifestyle. Who likes the mirror books? Because it's like there's no wrong answer, right? So then whoever didn't put their hands up, that means that you rather read about books where it's completely new, like, you know, it could be fantasy, it could be sci-fi, it could still be contemporary, but it could be, you know, a situation that you've never experienced. So where are my window folks? Who are the ones who want to peek into somebody else's world? So what I say is that when you pick up a book, every book has the potential to be both of those at the same time. That's the beauty of reading. Is I named some of the things about So Done that are, you know, that are mirrors or potential windows for you all. But I think when you read the book, you'll probably find that it's a little bit of both, depending on, you know, where you're coming from. So, Ms. Jones, is it okay if I read a little bit from the book? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So this, the little bit that I'm going to read is right after they've kind of been introduced to getting ready for this tag audition, talented and gifted audition. And they've had their like first class together, and there's a new person who's joining their neighborhood. She just moved in. Mila's first thought when her eyes popped open the next morning, I like Crystal. The second thought was, when had her arms and legs been replaced by burning hot rubber bands? Her muscles were so sore, even wiggling her fingers made her biceps pop in protest. Every burst of pain reminded her how graceful Crystal had been. She probably wasn't in pain today. When Crystal seemed afraid to admit how long she'd been dancing, that's when Mila knew she liked her. If Crystal didn't know the rest of them had only danced for 2 short years at first, she did after the class was over. But she still touched Mila on the shoulder as they were leaving and complimented her. Your leaps were pretty. The 4 words made Mila float on air. It also made her feel bad. Mo, Sheeta, and Coco had said the same thing to her before a few times, but hearing it from Crystal made Mila believe it more. She knew that was kind of wrong, but somebody who had never seen her dance before complimenting her made Mila feel like a real dancer. She was even getting excited about tag. Excited was probably too strong a word. The twins talked about tag like it was passage to a different world where kids already had their future on lock. Mila was curious. Would tag be that way? Or was Tay right that it would be like a lot of other after-school programs, here for a year or two, then gone? She'd attempted to ask Crystal what it was like to do dance competitions, but Tay had summoned her, telling her to hurry up. And like a sheep, Mila had bit back her question and followed. She walked away embarrassed, promising herself to stop doing everything the way she'd always done it. It's why she had to talk to her dad. If she didn't, nothing would ever change, and it would be her own fault. So we see the character right there struggling with not only who she is anymore, but like how she handles things with her friends. And we see her kind of covet what things could be because of this new person. And I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that, but like sometimes when somebody new comes into school, like I think they're always portrayed as having to fit in. But what we see in So Done is where the new person actually makes the people who are already there really rethink everything about themselves. And I wanted to do that because, you know, it's not always awkward to be the new kid. You know, sometimes you're confident enough in who you are and the things that you like. And so the people that you come into contact with are actually impacted a different way. So, and we see that with Mila. We see her starting to wonder, you know, about her decisions, and even like kind of give herself a talking to, like, no, I listened to her this time, but I'm not going to do that next time. Next time I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do what I want to do. So very, very early, we start to see that the progression in how she feels about herself. And so later on in the story, you know, you'll get to see how that impacts her friendship, because you know how it is when we have friends, we all sort of have a lane. Everybody has a job, everybody has a personality, and we see the dynamic shift a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. I see we're like 4 minutes left. So if anybody has questions about writing process or the story, I am open.
All right, guys. Who has a question? Raise your hand and Ms. Corville will call on you.
How do you select the names of your characters?
They are, like, I roll it around on my tongue, honestly, to see if I like it. And I am a big nickname person, so it's really funny. It's funny to put the amount of time that I do into names, because I'm always going to give them a nickname. There's not a character in my book that doesn't have a nickname. But the character Jamila is actually, I had to purposely name her something with J, because she comes from a family where they're all named with a J. So I just had to find one that fit. Her sister's name is Jacinta. Her brother's name is Jamal. But yeah, I let it roll around on my tongue, and I think, does that feel right? Does she look like a Jamila? And but she has a nickname actually that she hates, and it's Bean, because she's really tall and skinny. And so people have been calling her Bean since she was a little girl.
What is your work schedule like when you're writing?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I still have a day job. So I have 2 careers, and it can be a challenge to put writing into my schedule. That sounds strange because, like, I have contracts that I have to deliver by a deadline, but sometimes life gets in the way and it makes it really hard. So what I try to do is I try to write at lunch, during my lunch hour, and then I sit down to write about 7 o'clock each evening, and I try to write until about 11. And it can be hard to switch gears for my lunchtime writing. So the way that I jump back into writing is I look back on the chapter that I wrote the day before, and I just read it. And that helps to, like, almost pull me into the world, and then I start writing. Another thing that works for me is to read something else. Like, it doesn't have to be what I wrote, but if I just open up a book and read for like 10 minutes, it almost helps me to click over to a different side of my brain. But ultimately, when I'm under deadline, when a publisher has decided that they're going to pay me to write a book, I write whenever I get a chance. No schedule.
All right, Taylor. How long does it take you to write a book?
It varies, and don't tell my publisher, so we have to make sure that they don't see this. I can actually write a book really fast. I asked for a year, but Turning Point, that comes out in 2 weeks, I wrote it in 55 days. And I didn't do that on purpose. And I pray that I never do that again, because it was very, very hard. And I felt like I felt like the world was crashing in on me. But I had actually run out of time because it had been a really busy year and I had been sick and I needed surgery. And so while I was off for the surgery, I finally, was getting close to my deadline. And so I didn't have any choice. I was off from my day job and I finished that book in less than 2 months. But normally I like a year. A year gives me time to really take my time with it.
I have a question. I don't know how I didn't put two and two together, but I just realized last week that you're a founder of the Brown Bookshelf.
Yes.
And so we weren't in school when the kid lit for Black Lives, the rally in the town hall, but we did a watch party on our Facebook. Mm-hmm. Do you mind talking about the Brown Bookshelf?
Sure. I said earlier to you that reflection and representation are really important to me. And so early on, right after I had gotten my first contract, I went to Varian Johnson, who's the author of The Parker Inheritance, and I said, we really should do something to help amplify the voices of Black authors because it feels like it's not a lot of us out here, and I know that's probably not true. He agreed, and so we brought a bunch of Black creatives together and we started the Brown Bookshelf, and it's specifically to highlight Black illustrators and Black children's literature authors. We did it because we're out there, but often the only books you tend to know about are what I call the big name authors. You usually, know when Kwame Alexander's next book is out. When Jacqueline Woodson's next book is out, but there were so many other authors who had honestly been out there plugging for some time and people still didn't really know their work. So we created it just to have an avenue to make sure that they were, that they got their roses while they were here. We want to make sure that the readers know that they're there and love their books a little bit.
Awesome. Let's do two more questions. Does anybody have?
What inspires you to write your stories?
Oh, I actually heard that question. What inspires me to write my stories? I am very curious. And I'm a little obsessed with the 13 to 15-year-old age group. I think a lot happens to us in that age because we feel like we know a lot because we're not little kids anymore, but obviously we're not, 17, 18, we're not close enough to adulthood either. So it's an incredible part of your life, and I am fascinated with it because you experience a lot of first in that time period, and also you live in the rest of the world with us. So like some of you are probably going through some stuff right now with just with the way that things are with the pandemic and people fighting for racial equality. So I like to cover things that you're experiencing just like I'm experiencing as an adult, but I want to kind of wonder how you're getting through it. So that's what inspires me is I want to be able to help adults, because even though my books are for you, because adults like Mrs. Jones reads them and teachers and parents, I want them to kind of understand too. I want them to remember like, okay, maybe I do understand my students a little better watching this character go through something. So it inspires me to make sure I get those stories out there.
All right, Aliana. How do books get published?
So I'm a traditionally published author, just meaning that they're called the Big Five. There are 5 publishers out there that probably put out the majority of books. And what they do is they work with agents. I have an agent, and my agent will take my story to them, either a completed story or she'll take a proposal, a concept, and she'll take it to editors. and say, you know, are you guys interested in this? And she'll usually take it to more than one at a time. She'll try to get some interest and get a bid going so that people will say, yeah, we really want it. And then they can pay me more money. And so, but we try to get people interested in it. And if editor believes in it, then they take it to, it actually goes through like quite a bit of vetting because they have to take it to an editorial board usually. They take it to their marketing and sales people to see if they think they can sell it. So it goes through all of that. And if they agree that it's something that they can stand behind and that they believe in, then they offer me a contract and they decide like, okay, when is this gonna, when are we gonna finish this book? When is it going to come out? Publishing tends to buy books at least a year in advance, sometimes two. Right now, my next book should be out in 2021. That was due in May. It was late. And I just actually just received a contract. Oh, no one knows this yet, actually. So you guys are the first to know. It hasn't even been announced yet. I just signed a contract with St. Martin's Press, Wednesday's Book, for a 3-book series. It's actually going to be young adult, though. So I'm coming out of the MG just a little bit for a little while. So yeah, you work with a group of people who believe in you and promise to push the book, and then you deliver it and you pass it over to them and say, take care of my baby, and they do what they have to do to get it on the shelves.
Okay, I'm going to put on the slide to see pictures again of the books. All right, guys, so I want to remind you, we have 20 copies and 20 more on the way of So Done. And it is a Battle of the Books title. You can put it on hold. In fact, Ms. Corville, if you'll make me a list of kids who want to put it on hold, and I'll get a hold list going.
Okay.
Once you read So Done, you need to read Doughboys, the Companion. We have plenty of copies. I have more on the way. I've got a couple of copies in and some more on the way. And as soon as Turning Point comes out in 2 weeks, we're going to get copies of that. We really want to thank you, Ms. Chase, for taking the time to talk to us today. Is a huge honor that you chatted with us today. Guys, y'all give Ms. Chase a hand.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. And I want you to know that all of these are companion books. They're not a series. So the difference just means you really don't have to read them in order. Like, it's cool to read them in order, obviously, but you don't have to.
Good point. I didn't think to mention that. Thank you. And I'm going to put today on our Facebook page, I'm going to put the link to Ms. Chase's website and a link to our card catalog so that you can look at their books and place them on hold. And once again, thank you so much, Ms. Chase, for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. Happy reading, guys and girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.